From Cornwall to Birmingham and Johnston and Bexhill, here's Ruben Spar on the radio.
So, hello to Colin, Gordon Farleigh. How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks, Ruben.
Thank you. Let me chat to you today. So, can you tell me how long have you been a singer-songwriter for?
Well, I've been a songwriter far longer than I've been a singer. I've been a songwriter for probably about the last 25 years. I didn't start singing as an artist until a few years ago, only about 7 years ago.
So, what was it like when you first went into the recording studio?
A bit scary, but great fun.
So, can you tell me more about your debut single called A Little Bit of Country?
Yeah, a little bit of country. That came about because I was actually being pressured by my producer. The story behind that is that in 2017, I'd gone across to Nashville, and a couple of my songs were being recorded in a studio on Music Row, and so I went to be there while they were being recorded, and several other people that had recorded my stuff came to meet me as well, and on that evening, it was a Saturday, we then all went out to a place called Long Hollow Jamboree, which is about 15 miles outside of Nashville, and where the studio owner, who's a friend of mine, Ernie Rowell, and his band were playing. And at 10 o'clock that evening, they had an open mic session, and they came and they were piling the pressure onto me to sing, which I fought off. but eventually, I was really pressured into standing up and singing, and I sang "Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain," and the rest is history. The following Tuesday, Ernie Rowell had me back in the studio, and that's when that little EP was recorded there. A couple of months later, Memory Number One, which was one of the tracks on it, hit the #1 spot on a couple of online radio stations. So that's where it all started. It's their fault.
So, what was it like going to Nashville?
Absolutely brilliant. Nashville is like a second home. I've so many friends there. Probably more friends in Nashville than I have in the whole of the UK.
It's good to hear. So, going to bring up to this year now, 2024 that we're in. Can you tell me more about your latest album they brought out this year called Dreaming in Nashville?
Dreaming in Nashville, yeah. This album, well, because the track Dreaming in Nashville was one that I recorded along with my partner in crime, Mike Dill, who we're going to speak to as well just now. Mike's sitting on the other end of this. I also recorded a song there with another friend of mine called Lover's Merry-Go-Round, which Mike wrote the music to. There's about 4 or 5 tracks on there which Mike and I collaborated on. Lover's Merry-Go-Round, I was joined by a friend from Nashville called Silky Monoff, and she sang on that as well. And I'm sure that's why that song has really taken off and done so well.
So, we're going to chat to Michael Dill now. So, hello, Michael. Michael, how are you today?
I am doing just fine, Ruben. Good to be here.
So, can you tell me how long have you been a singer-songwriter for?
Oh wow! You know, when you asked him, that made me start calculating. I think it was my ninth grade in high school, which would have put it around 1984. And so, if you were to calculate, that's around 40 years. So, I would say probably about 40 years I've been singing in public, I guess, so to
So,
speak.
so that's quite a few years you've been in the music
It's
business.
been a few moons. It has been a few moons.
So, can you tell me more about when you first went into the recording studio to record your debut single called "Don't Get Too Close"?
Don't get too close. Oh, yeah, you're going back to around 2019 is when that song actually was written, and at that time I was actually doing another co-written project with a duo partner called Dennis Scott, and we called ourselves Dylan Scott, and we were working on a project. But this was kind of like a side song that was originally going to be on the next Dylan Scott project, but ended up after we did the project, we called it Wild and Free, and we actually submitted it to the Josies, and it actually won. But instead of doing project number 2, which this song that you're talking about would have been part of, he decided he wanted to. My partner at that time decided he wanted to go off and kind of do a more of a rock project than versus a country project. So it ended up going on my EP. So and it became just mine then. But because I'd already written it myself anyways, he hadn't had any part in it. So but yeah, that was probably around 2020ish. 2019 when it got wrote, and then released around 2020, somewhere in that ballpark range. But yeah, it goes back a little bit. Not as far back as when I started singing, though.
So, what was it like going to the recording studio when you first went there?
Well, you know, my first recording experience was back in high school. I don't know if you're familiar with Jerry Falwell and the Old Time Gospel Hour. You know, that takes you way back there. But for me, that was my home. That's where I went to school. I went to his church. I went to his school. So that was my first real experience inside of a studio, because the group that I sang for, the high school group, we were called the Young Believers. And we actually went out to different places and played and sang. So we had to go in the studio and do backing tracks. So that was my first experience in the studio. Now, my first experience on my own, how I normally do this is there's a group in Georgia, Covington, Georgia, called Tune Designer. John Johnson is the owner of that. He and his boys will actually make my music tracks. Then he'll send those to me, and then I'll do the rest here in my home studio. But those guys are amazing. They're as good as anybody out of Nashville, in my opinion. So I always get them to do my music. But here recently, I've started doing my own music and everything here in the studio when we get ready to start talking about Colin, my project. But yeah, so my first experience in the studio was back in high school. But I do most everything I do now here at the home studio.
Yes, it saves a few pennies, I guess.
It saves a few pennies. That is true.
That's what it's all about. So, going to bring it right up to now to this year, 2024. So, can you tell me more about your latest EP called "Can You Still Feel It"?
Can You Still Feel It? Actually, nominated EP of the year with that this year. The Josies didn't get a win, but I did get a nomination. I actually ended up with 13 nominations. Can you believe that? That is amazing. That in itself was amazing. I didn't get any wins, but that's okay. I had 13 nominations, but that EP was one of the nominations that I got. It's a 6-song EP, and I am proud to say that my wife actually wrote half of that EP. So she became my co-writing partner on this EP, and she did a wonderful job. In fact, her song was the one that was up for EP Song of the Year. So not EP, but Song of the Year. But she's an amazing writer, and we had a lot of fun with this last project.
So, Colin, so can you tell me more about the Gordon Farleigh Dill Association?
Yeah, well, Mike and I have been working together for quite a few years now, just writing a variety of stuff. As I say, we reached the tracks on my latest album, where 4 or 5 of those tracks were joint tracks, and we did a lot more stuff going on. So we decided it would be nice to formalize things. I'm stepping back a little bit from actually singing now, and concentrating more on writing. And it works well because I write the lyrics, send a song over to Mike, or the lyrics over to Mike, and Mike usually takes quite a long time. Sometimes sometimes it could be as much as 24 hours before he's actually written music and recorded the song. So, but yeah, so you can gather we work so well together.
Yes, we do.
And we hunted around for different names, and not a lot worked. So we decided on this long-winded name. We did think of calling it the GFD Association, and then decided that no one would have a clue what GFD stood for.
Right.
So let's spell it out. And that's how it came about.
So, can you tell me more about the single that you both released called "Smoke and Mirrors"?
I beg your pardon?
Smoke and Mirrors.
Smoke and Mirrors.
Yeah, tell them the story behind that.
Yeah, Smoke and Mirrors. Well, I have to tread very carefully on this.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You do.
Because I don't want to get into litigation. But suffice to say that I went to an awards ceremony in Los Angeles in May of this year, and the ceremony that was promised was a really glittering occasion, with stretch limos to pick us up from the hotel and red carpet treatment and so on. The actual venue turned out to be right out in the desert, some about 90 miles outside of LA City. And when the coach, not limo, when the coach carrying all of us arrived, there was a sandstorm blowing across the venue because it was completely open. There was no marquee or even nothing, just a few plastic tables and chairs and a small stage. And so we all refused to get off the coach. And in the end, after quite a fight with the people, the coach had to take us back to the hotel. So that's the story behind it. And I needed to write the whole story out of my system, which I did with Smoke and Mirrors.
So, can you tell me more about your latest single called Throughout the Years?
Yes, throughout the years. I tend, in my writing, I try to write things which are really going to resonate with people, as often being the things that they would like to say but don't quite know how to say it. And throughout the years, you can find a partner who sticks with you through thick and thin. And sometimes when you look back, you actually wonder why they stuck with you on some occasions, but it seems to work. And throughout the years, really is talking all about that.
So, can you tell me about any future music plans for you both?
Yeah, we've got some good plans. Really, we've got a lot more songs already either recorded or in the process of recording. There, we're going to release another probably 2 or maybe 3 singles, and then a full album under the Gordon Farleigh Dill Association. There, no idea what we're going to call it yet. No idea beyond that, but we do have an idea of what's going into it.
Probably an early spring release, right?
Yeah, early spring release. Yeah, and I think, Mike, some exciting songs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think everyone's going to be excited.
Yeah, very different.
That's good. I'm going to ask you one question that concerns you both now. So I'm going to start to Colin first. So can you tell me, How's it been an independent artist for you?
How's it been?
Being an independent artist?
I think great, because I suppose it depends what you want out of the business. I've never wanted fame. Thankfully, I don't want the money, and I say thankfully because, of course, you don't get any. But you do find ways. You do find ways to spend it.
Yes, you do.
I think the big thing, being an independent artist, is that I decide what I want to do. I'm not having things decided for me by a management. I have a very good producer who will guide me, and on one or two occasions has actually said to me, well, I don't think you should do that. Mostly I've listened. One time I didn't, and I said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And afterwards he came back and he said, you were right. But yeah, so that's it. But I think it's just the independence of doing everything, and doing it the way we want.
So could I have the same question to Michael, please?
Yes, a lot of what Colin said, probably the same, except where I do want rich and famous. But it is not easy to accomplish as an independent artist. Especially with today's social media, you got to really know it, or you got to be willing to shell out the buckaroos, But again, a lot of what Colin said does the same for me. I'm 55 years old, so I'm not really going to be super famous anyways, because of my age. Need a little more time, and they're probably looking for young bucks anyways, as far as getting a contract. But I'm just having fun, and because of meeting people like Colin, it makes it even funner. So, it's about getting songs out there and saying things for people that can't say it for themselves, and then they take part and make it part of their life. And that's the big joy of it,
So, finally, can you tell my listeners where can I find more information about the Gordon Farleigh Dill Association?
Well, we've got a Facebook page now, so everyone can go to the Facebook page, and I'm trying to keep everything fresh and try to pretty much at least on a weekly basis let everybody know what's going on. So we've got that, and of course we're on Spotify now. We're on all the music platforms now, and I think we've got Colin, I think we've got at least 2 songs, getting ready to release a 3rd song now. So
yeah.
So any music platform, you can find us there, the Facebook page. So yeah, keep track of us. We're going to be busy for the next few months. And like I said, early spring release, we'll have the album out, and we're going to hope for a big win maybe next year in the 2025 Josies. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And of course, we've got the Christmas song.
Oh yeah, that's right, the Christmas song. Yeah.
Not forgetting that.
That releases in 2 days, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, can we talk about the Christmas song before we go? So, can you tell me more about It's Christmas Time?
Colin, go for it.
Yeah.
Colin wrote it.
Yeah. I was originally commissioned to write the song for a charity, and then for various reasons, the charity had to close down because the man at the top became too ill to run it, and so we were left with this song that we'd written, and we just expedited what we'd originally decided anyway, which was to release it ourselves. And so that's it. It's just a very simple, straightforward message of Christmas in the country, Christmas in the town, Christmas in the city, and Christmas all around. That's the Christmas song. It's Christmas time.
It's been on the catchy side.
Thank you. Let me chat to you both today.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy great. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, both.
Thank you so much.
And goodbye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.